To send cold email, you need emails, you need email infrastructure, you need email addresses that don't matter too much if you eventually have a couple of emails sent to spam. Hello, my name's Louis Newman, and I spent 2 years building AI SDRs, and now I'm the founder of Magnetite.ai, which is a cold email lead magnet platform. We do complete lead magnets for you, and I've spent a long time in the cold email outreach space. Today, I'm going to take you through building cold email infrastructure of your own, completely custom. It's going to be hosted on Hetzner. We're going to use MailCow. The plan is going to be, I'm going to take you through how we're going to set up the servers, getting authentication, set them up from Hetzner to use the ports to make sure you're not a spammer. We're going to go through creating the actual servers, connecting to the servers, setting up emails, setting up all your DNS settings for your individual emails so they do not get hit spam and they hit the inbox every time. We're going to then take you through how we'll add those emails to cold email software such as Instantly or SmartLead or Reach Inbox. And then I'll take you through how we'll send emails and then what kind of emails get a positive reply. Wicked, so let's get going. I'm just going to make myself small. There we go. Let's go. We've got a small setup document here, and we're just going to go through this step by step, editing it as we need to, and then we can create a blog post with this after the fact. Okay, so we've got some documentation sites just to explain MailCow to you. So MailCow is a open source software platform, and we can put it in a Docker file, which basically just means that we don't need to touch any of the software. We can just run it in whichever server we need to. There's a couple out there that do this. So we've got Mail in a Box, which is a popular one, and we've got MailCow. And as you can see, we've got 10.9 thousand GitHub stars. That just means that a lot of people like this, and it is a good and well-rounded, battle-tested platform. I'm actually pretty sure that the whole of the British military use this platform as their main email provider. Wicked. So that's the platform we're going to use. If you want to dive into the docs, please do. There's the documentation here. That's just a documentation site. We've got the GitHub. This is the docs, and then a community platform for asking questions if you get stuck. But up the comments in this video first, and we can help you with that before you need to reach out to a community, or you can reach out on our community, Sales Lab community. Right, so what we're going to need is a registered domain. Realistically, we need more than a registered domain. The best cold email infrastructure solutions for you is to spread yourself amongst all of them. For example, I have just under 250 email addresses, and that's spread between lots of different providers. So yes, I have up to 150 on custom infrastructure, but I've also got 30 Outlook emails, 30 Google emails, and then 36 with the smaller providers. And that's just completely diversifying all of my email infrastructure. So if I am sending to Outlook emails, I can use an Outlook email. If I am sending to a Google email, I can send via a Google email. If I'm sending to a small provider, I can send from another small provider. And then for all of the other people that are on custom servers, I can send with my custom servers as well. I can also rotate them in and out of going through warm-up phases to sending phases, but we can get into that later. So the point of the email providers is you want to diversify. So we can always hit the inbox if we need to, and we go through periods of warm-up and sending. So custom email infrastructure is just one of those options that we can use, but it's a really good one because it enables us to really cheaply spin up a significant number of emails to start sending from. Like I said, I've got 153 through custom. That just enables me, if I want to keep outreach super, super low, say I want to keep outreach at a maximum of 15 emails per address per working day, I can still send 3,500 every single day, minimizing it to 15 emails per inbox. It just enables me to cast a wider net. And I'm not talking about spamming people. This is still super targeted outreach, but it's just a lot of super targeted outreach. We'll get into that a bit more later. Okay, so going back to the setup, we're going to need some registered domains. Per server, we want to have roughly 2 to 5 emails per domain. So per server, we're looking at anything from, say, 10 domains up to 50. We can potentially go more, but I like to keep them in smaller silos because they're very inexpensive to run up a new server. So per server, we're going to have between 2 and 5 emails between 10 and 50 domains. So that gives you a rough estimate of between 20 and 250 emails per server. So per server, you can get absolutely loads of emails. And with 250 emails, sending 15 emails a day, what's that? So that's 3,750 per day. So if you times that by 5, that's 18,750 emails per week. Times that by 4, that'd be 75,000 emails a month. If we're doing a simple 3-step campaign, that would be 25,000 emails for new users in any given month if we're doing a 3-email campaign to each individual user. And 25,000 leads is a lot of leads. So just getting that amount of targeted leads and writing those emails is going to be hard. So this infrastructure will give you everything you need to not have to worry about emails anymore. We could even have some warming up while others are sending in this process. Cool. So with that, we're going to need some registered domains. We mentioned that between 10 and 50 domains per server. For this, I'm just going to go with 10 domains. We also need to set up a Hetzner account, and they initially restrict ports 25 and 465 for anti-spam measures. So you just need to pay your initial invoice. When you sign up for a Hetzner account, they'll ask you to connect some sort of billing. When you connect some sort of billing, they'll take $20, and that $20 will be your initial invoice, and that'll be sorted out for the first up to 4 months, depending on which server you pick. Probably 2 months if we select the same server that I've gone with for my email servers. And they'll set you back roughly around $10, maybe slightly less than $10 per month. So $10 for up to 250 email addresses per month is pretty awesome. Although there will initially be that upfront investment of the domains. And for me, that's going to be 10 domains. And that's going to be roughly $12 per domain. So it'll be $120 for all of our domains. Excellent. So let's get started. So we're going to go into register domains. With registering domains, you really want to use names that are adjacent to your domain. So my main domain is Magnetite. So with our cold outreach, we generally want to always use top level domains of .com. And that's just because it's the most recognized among all domains. And we want to go with words that would commonly be used for that domain. We could do domains that are similar, but it's usually good to do like standard prefixes or standard suffixes around the .com. So get magnetite.com would be a really good domain. Try magnetite.com would also be a really good domain. So use Magnetite, go Magnetite, run Magnetite, start Magnetite, join Magnetite, meet Magnetite, hello Magnetite, my Magnetite. You get the gist. And then we've got suffixes, Magnetite sales, Magnetite CRM, Magnetite app, all those sorts of domains. If you've got your own platform where you buy all your domains from that you'd prefer to use, by all means. The good thing about using Cloudflare is it's relatively cheap, so $10.44 per .com domain. But also, Cloudflare has one of the best reputations among all of the providers for domains. And that just enables us to pass that good reputation onto our email addresses. So it's going to enable us to hit the inbox a lot more often. But we don't only need email addresses for the actual platform. So the other thing we need email addresses for is the actual place where we're going to host our email server. Where to host email. So with this, I like to just keep it completely separate from my actual main domains. Excellent. So I've just bought stealthvaultmail.com, and we're going to use that for hosting the actual email server. Okay, so let's jump back to the setup. So we now have a new email server, which is called stealthvaultmail.com. With that, we're just going to go to hetzner.com. You're going to log in, utilize the cloud. So with cloud, we've got several pricing options. You've got either shared or dedicated. Most of my current email servers run on the dedicated because you need a minimum of 8 gigabytes of RAM. But this shared instance is significantly cheaper at only $7.59 per month. And it also has 8 gigabytes of RAM. And with this just being a cold email server, you don't need the dedication of a custom vCPU. So shared is absolutely fine for this. You're going to log in and sign up. In the sign up process, they're just going to ask for an email and password. With that, they'll also ask you to pay your first invoice and authenticate your account. You can authenticate with PayPal or by uploading some details. I suggest just uploading with PayPal, because by uploading with PayPal, you'll add $20 worth of credit into your account. And by adding the $20 of credit into your account, you'll automatically have your ports of 25 and 465 unblocked, as these restrictions are lifted once you've paid your initial invoice. So that's just basic user verification to make sure you're not a spammer. And if you pay that $20, then you're golden. You've already unblocked those ports. So now you're going to access your Hetzner cloud account. We end up in the dashboard. You'll create a project. This is my project. Then we're going to create resource servers. With this, you want to pick a server location that's close to you, but there's not always all of the available points in all locations. So CPX31 available there. CPX31, $13 per month is the only 8GB one we can get here. And at that price point, I'm better off going for a CCX13 because it comes out at $12 a month instead of the $13.10. So in this instance, I am going to go with a dedicated CPU because that's what's available in the locations that are close to me. There's actually a fine line with this as well. So we're going to select this one. It's going to automatically have an IPv4, IPv6, add cloud config as get Docker. And that's just going to install Docker on your email server initially. Secure@vaultmail.com. Okay, so the last part is setting up an SSH key. And at this link, we'll be able to follow the details for how to generate an SSH key. So we do that just by creating a new window, and then we'll copy this command. Sorry, if you don't know how to run a terminal, just come up to terminal, different tutorials for Mac, Windows, Linux, and follow this through and just run these commands in the terminal, copy and paste them, adding your email. And then I'll generate the public and private keys. Enter the file in which you wish to save the key. So that will automatically save it in the correct folder for you. But when you run this, it will print out the public and private keys for you. In Hetzner itself, when we add an SSH key, you just want to add that into here, give it a name, set as the default key. And that just means that you'll be able to easily connect to your server from your computer to Hetzner. So as you see, I've already set mine up there, so I don't need to do that. This is all now fine. So I'm going with Nuremberg, Ubuntu 2404, dedicated vCPU at $12 per month with 8GB of RAM, which is our minimum. We've got IPv4, IPv6, Hetzner, and we've added a cloud config of include get Docker. I've given it the name of the domain. Then we're going to create, and what that's going to do is it's going to give us a custom IP address. At this point, I'm just going to search if this is a good IP address or not. So we're just going to type in IP blacklist checker. And this is listed on 2 different platforms. So that means that this is a bad IP. So at that point, we're just going to try again with a new setup. And if we have to keep going until we get a good IP, we will. Wonderful. Okay. So on the second try, our second email server got 0 blacklists. So we've now got a really good server that we can utilize to start sending some cold email. We're now going to go to our new DNS settings and we can start getting our email server set up for our new domain. So we're just going to click add record. We want a record with the name of mail, and that is going to take our new server's IPv4 address. Now we need a new one, which is again mail, sending from your IPv6 address. We then need a CNAME. The target will be mail. Another CNAME for autoconfig, which is again going to be mail subdomain. Lastly, we need an MX record. We're going to set a priority of 10. It's going to be at our root and it's going to direct us to mail. Wonderful. Okay, so those are the minimum ones we need. Okay, so that's our domain now set up. We're now going to want to the actual server. You can do that just by going to the console, but I like to do it via my own computer. And because we set up as we set up SSH key earlier, all we need to do is type SSH root at and then the IPv4 address. You want to set up as connected so you can save that address. I'm just going to authorize that to use the Hetzner key and we are now in. So this is now connected to stealth@vaultmail.com. In here, we're going to start by calling apt update and apt upgrade. Just realize you might not be able to see it with me in the way. Okay, hopefully you're now able to see everything. Once that's finished, we're going to change folder. So change directory to the OPT folder for options. We're then going to change folder into that Dockerized container. We're going to generate the config. So for this, we're going to put in mail.stealthvaultmail.com. I'm using UTC because I'm in the UK. And then I'm just going to use master branch as that's recommended. Our IP is clean. Now we're going to do Docker Compose pull. And that's just pulling all the data we need to run the box on our circuits. That's now done. We're going to compose. Great. So now that the email server is actually running our domain, and we need to finish off by setting up the reverse DNS on our account. So we're going to go back into our Hetzner account, and we've got our Stealth Vault Mail running here. As you can see in networking, we've got IPv4 address and IPv6 address. We're going to click on those three dots, and we're going to put edit reverse DNS. And you're just going to delete that, and it's just going to have mail.yourserver. And then similarly for your IPv6, we're just going to do 1. So now we have reverse DNS. So if anybody tries to look up this domain, it then points back to this. So we've got both our email server. So we've got our DNS pointing at this IP address and the IP address pointing back at it. And you're just confirming that you are in the right place because both locations are pointing at each other. It's just another security aspect to having an email server. Okay, let's jump back into it. So we have done our reverse DNS. Now we need to log in. Exciting times. Let's go to mail. Look at that, we're here. And our email is admin and muhu. Remember to go to log in as admin. Okay, admin, muhu. As soon as we're here, we're now going to update our password. So config, edit our admin, and we're going to add a new password here. Okay, now my password is updated to something super secure as I'm actually going to use this email server. We are now going to dive into making some email or adding our domains to MailCow. Super exciting. So jump into configuration and we're going to add domains. So this is where we add the domains that we have been talking about from the start. So let's jump back into here. We said that we're going to add some domains such as these. So first I need to actually purchase 10 domains, registered domains. And I think try magnetite was off the cards. We've got to use magnetite. Okay, so we've just bought usemagnetite.com. We're going to leave those settings in there. We need DKIM is 2048 bits, and then we're going to add domain only, and then in the DNS settings, and now we need to copy all this over. So one by one, we need to add each of these items. One last thing we needed to add into our email server was this, because this is just telling us what we haven't added already. So 311, that is what 311 stands for. So just add that Tesla into here. And now we're just going to go through here and add each of these variables. So our initial X is going to be at the root domain. We'll do a priority of 10. We're going to CNAME, again, pointing at our server, SRV, priority 10, wait 10, port 443, we'll have the CNAME, auto config, again pointing at our email server. We then need a TXT file at the root, and this is going to be an SPF file. And here is an example of what we should do. In here, we're going to have our IPv4 address, we're going to have our IPv6 address, and then we're going to have -all. And the -all is important because that means we ignore all of the emails that are not from this IP. And it's a single IP, so we're just going to put a single IPv4, IPv6. So that's our SPF sorted. We also need to create a DMARC, again a TXT, and with our DMARC, we're going to create a separate DMARC email that is just for our use magnetite domain. So copy and paste this in. I'll put it in the documentation. I'm also going to share, that's now sorted, the SPF with you guys. So that's our DMARC, that's our SPF, and then finally we're going to have DKIM, which is also a TXT. That's going to have the entire contents of this in it. That it's already filling, and that is one domain. DNS, good to go. We've got a maximum of 10 mailboxes per domain. We're going to set up a maximum of 5. So to add an email address, we go on mailboxes, and the first one we need to add is our DMARC. So for our, we're just going to call it DMARC email. The username is going to be DMARC. We'll generate a random password, and then we'll add it, and voila. We then have our DMARC emails. Similarly, we're going to add mailboxes for others. So my name is Louis, last name Newman. So one of my emails is going to be Louis. That's going to be my full name. We're going to select generate a random password. We're going to save that and that's going to be one of our emails. Save that and log in. We then have one email. The way you're going to do it is go to Google Sheets. So a nice way to easily set this up is we've got servers, domains, emails, and usernames. This is just our list of usernames. So Louis.Newman, Louis.initial as last name, full name, all one word, and first initial dot last name. So if we were doing 5 emails, that would be a good way to set this up. Unless you had multiple people in your company, in that case, I'd recommend using all of the people in your company, just as long as they've got active link profiles and you can equate them to real people. I think that's the best way to do this. And then in here, we've got domains. So 1 to 10 domains. We've got our use magnetite as our initial one. That's on the stellarfaultmail.com. And then from our IMAP port and SMT port, we've just generated complete SPF, DMARC record, the DMARC email, all that sort of stuff already done for us. So we don't have to do it. And then similarly with emails, we've got our domain, username, email, password that's not filled in yet. You need to fill that in, but that'll automatically fill in SMTP, username, IMAP, password. But this is then what you can import into your external software because it's got everything in it. It's got the email, it's got the passwords, it's got your IMAP port, IMAP host, your SMTP host, your usernames, and then we've also got like things like warm-up here. So those are my requested setup for each email. So I want to have a daily limit of 15 emails. I want warm-up to be enabled. I want there to be a warm-up limit. All that sort of stuff's already in here. I'll share the template for this in the article as well. Just make a copy and fill it in yourself. But then it's all in there. That is the full setup for the whole of setting up your own email server done for you. You just have to buy the domains yourself. So we've bought one there. We've set up that one domain. We just need to set up each of those emails and add a password to each one and then duplicate that for all 10 domains. And with 10 domains and those 5 emails, we'll have 50 emails that we can just pull into our cold email software by exporting this as a PDF and then using that to import into something like Reach Inbox. And that is everything with perfectly set up email addresses for our own email infrastructure. But like I said at the start, this is just one piece of the puzzle. So this is our custom emails and it's good for sending to other custom emails. If we're sending to Gmail, then I'd highly recommend having some Gmail addresses. Likewise with Outlook, all of the smaller providers. And if you just diversify your whole infrastructure across all of those and have some warming up while others are sending, you're much more likely to always land in that inbox. I hope this has been super useful. There will be some more videos coming on recommended email setup. So when you actually come to sending cold emails, you want to find perfect leads that are currently suffering with the problem that you solve, and you want to offer them part of the solution. So a hack for that, you can create a lead magnet, and the lead magnet itself can be what you're selling to people. So instead of telling someone what you sell and asking them to buy it, we can identify someone with a small problem, solve it for them, and just send them that solution. And if you set up a free Magnetite account, free accounts get 500 free credits, but create a project and then for free, you can go into your created project. So to create a project, all you need to do is, I'd recommend just AI generating your project name, company URL, idea for what that first point in your sale could be that you could give away for free. So that initial audit, something that you do during the onboarding when you bring on a new client that requires a person to look at all their stuff and see where they're going wrong so you can assess how you can help them. All that sort of stuff. Whack it into what you want to build. That initial step, outline it in detail in that section. Tell us about your target audience, the problem you're solving, the value proposition. If you've got any ideas of what you like it to look like, put it in there. And then input all the input data that you've got in your cold email infrastructure. So what you already have about lead. So if you've got a full name, company name, domain, LinkedIn address, add a field, add your LinkedIn address, because that enables you to then research them further. And then what we should research when we're searching that lead. So specifically, if you're enabling or you're helping companies with SEO, then we need to search the SEO. So whack that in. That will then generate a lead project for you. Once you've generated a project, then we'll go into sales strategy. And then depending on what email infrastructure you're using, whack it in here, link up variables that you'd like to use, say then the current variables that you've got inside Instantly or Reach Inbox, put them in here for each customer, add in a case study if you can, and then generate a sales strategy. And that will give you all the templates you need to create a full Reach Inbox campaign or Instantly campaign you can just copy and paste the emails. And as soon as you get a positive reply, hit them up with a lead magnet. So we've got our emails. The next thing we need is leads. I'm going to do a whole series on finding perfect leads. So please stay tuned. I'm also going to break down a couple of watchers. So just whack a comment in the comment section below about what your business is. And we'll do some videos on some of the viewers' businesses and what would be your perfect lead magnet. So stay tuned, and I'll see you next time.